Hello, and welcome back to the BFA Baby Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Hartman, and today we have an episode that's very topical right now, but by the time that you guys hear this, it will not at all be topical, and I hope that you can just kind of, appreciate it, maybe a little throwback to some things that were happening back in, what month is it, April, and we can kind of just feel it out. I think I have some good points to make, specifically in the realm of, being a dance teacher and being a director and stuff. That's just gonna have to be the hair for today. It looks like I have little horns. What is this? Okay. I think I have some interesting points to make in terms of, being a director and a dance teacher and all the things. So it will be a super outdated episode by the time it gets to you, but know that it is topical right now when I'm recording it. So, before I get into that, I just want to say that my college just put on the very first staged production of A Killer Party. If you don't remember, A Killer Party was a Zoom musical that happened during COVID, and they were working in hands with a creative team, and very quickly, not very quickly, but did get the permission to make the first staged production of it. So my college just put that on, and I went and saw my friends in it, and it was so good. So maybe that's an option in the future, more staged productions of it will be happening. But it was a lot of fun, they did super cool, but I just thought I would shout out MSU Theater and Dance real quick because that's a huge milestone. This is their second first staging. Last semester they staged Dreamland, which was this Area 51 alien discovery musical. That was written by some alumni, and I think it was a pair of them. They both went here, and it was the first original staging of it. So yeah, big congrats to my university on their staging of A Killer Party. It was really lovely. It was awesome to see, and yeah, I just thought I would shout that out before we get into it. So let's unfortunately get into it. So if you told me when I was starting my podcast, if you told me that, Taylor, in the middle of season 2, let me get my phone for my notes. In the middle of season 2, and you've done all this work and you've said all these really cool things and whatever, you're going to have an episode dedicated to Jojo Siwa. I wouldn't believe you. I would be like, what on earth are you talking about? And I'm pulling up the Rolling Stone article in case you're wondering what I'm looking at on my phone. So if you told me that I was going to be talking about Jojo Siwa and I was going to have this, entire, Jojo Siwa themed episode, I would be like, you're fucking crazy. But here we are in the year of our Lord 2024, and we're talking about Jojo Siwa on the podcast. About 2 months ago, yeah, February, it's April. About 2 months ago, a Rolling Stone article that's now infamous came out called Jojo Siwa Promised Them Pop Stardom. They say they were, quote, thrown in the trash. With momager Jessalyn Siwa, the star put together a new girl group, XOMG Pop, but after 4 members left, fans had questions about what really happened. So, I'm gonna read you this little ditty and then I'll start talking. Leia Sanderson always wanted to dance, but was never going to be easy for her. Sanderson, 16, who was born with spina bifida, a congenital birth defect in which the spinal cord fails to form properly. She spent her early years in and out of the hospital undergoing dozens of surgeries. She still regularly struggles with pain and bladder infections, and since she was 5, has used a catheter to go to the bathroom. Quote, the school nurse was my best friend growing up. So, in case you haven't heard any about this, Jojo Siwa and her mom made this girl pop group called XOMG Pop, and they were on America's Got Talent, and they had a TV show on Peacock, maybe? They had a TV show on Austrian. Let me just figure out what the show is. I think it's Peacock. Yes, it's on Peacock. And then they have a show on Peacock called Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution, and it's basically about the forming of this team, right? On the record, I refuse to watch Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution. I do not want money given to this, I do not want money given to the Siwas. I do not want money given to the teams, which we'll get into. It's just a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And anyway, so they had this show about how they formed the team and them rehearsing and everything. And then they went on America's Got Talent. And these girls are very much carrying along the young Jojo aesthetic that we all know. The bows and the rainbows and the like glitter on the face and the big earrings and all the things. So it's very much all of that. And it is, yeah, so so I want to talk a little bit more about what happened during this group, that especially with Leah Sanderson, this girl, this disabled child. Where was that quote that I was gonna read? Okay, here it is, I found it. Okay, so, at one point, the girls alleged that Jojo screamed insults at the girls during a performance. They also alleged that she played a role in helping build a cutthroat environment long after the cameras were gone, playing favorites and pitting members against each other. The moms and kids would come home and have a candy basket and Nintendo Switch in their hotel room after being messed with all day, a source close to production told Rolling Stone. The highs were high and the lows were even lower. A representative from the production company behind Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution disputes this, saying the children were not given gifts or encouraged to cry. Similarly to what is said about Dance Moms, the show that Jojo grew up on, a lot of the times the producers would fabricate drama and make crazy things happen just to see how the moms would react, how the kids would react to the moms reacting, how Abby would react, and all this stuff. And regardless of the rebrand, I just want to talk about this moment in which Jojo has, you know, she did the Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition thing, she did the Dance Moms thing, and now she's at, like, the height of fame right now, and, you know, is creating her own girl group, and in a way is a dance teacher the same way that me and my peers are. And I want to talk about this cycle of the abused become the abuser if you're not careful enough, you know. And I mean, like, to be so completely transparent, like, I couldn't watch Dance Moms until I was like 16 or 17 because I would just start crying, like uncontrollably crying. And I vividly remember, like, someone had it on, like, I was spending the night with someone and it was a Dance Moms night and they had it on and I just started sobbing and everyone was like, what? And I was like, that's how my dance teachers talked to me, especially in those early seasons when they were just trying to get the footing, when they were just trying to see it out. You know, everything was a little heightened, but, like, it wasn't the big spectacle that it is now. Like, people come for the drama. I don't think that people knew what they were getting themselves into the first couple seasons. And, oh my god, there is, like, wow. Like, I remember the first time I, like, sat myself down to watch Dance Moms, I was like, okay. I was like, I feel like I'm at a healthy place with everything that happened to me in the studio I came from. I feel like, and I've talked about that last season. I have a whole episode about like how my competition dance career like affected me getting my BFA, and that's kind of, we go into it all over there. But like that like emotional verbal abuse that like I felt firsthand, and I'm like, why have we made a television show about this happening to children? Like, it's valid to point out that it did happen, and that it does happen in the world of dance. However, I know too many people who, like, we lived, like, a more realistic version of Dance Moms, you know? We lived the teachers yelling at us. We lived the conversations about weight. We lived the competition between us that either our teachers put on us or, like, the moms put on us. We lived with moms fighting and, like, kids fighting and favoritism. And, it was such a real thing for me. And I remember watching, like, sitting myself down at, like, 16 or 17. And it was, like, so stupid, but it was so real. And I was like, I'm gonna watch the first episode of Dance Moms, and I'm just gonna, like, see what happens. And it just, like, still to this day, I can watch it and I can get through an episode and I won't cry, but it'll just make me, like, sick to my stomach. Like, it's kind of like when you're in an acting class and they ask you, for better or for worse, you know, there's conflicting schools on this, but for better or for worse, you know, they'll ask you to recall a memory to get you to cry or be angry or whatever. It feels like that. It feels like I'm putting myself into a situation that I shouldn't be in. Which it's just really, it's a lot. Anyways, so Jojo Siwa was on Dance Moms, and, you know, she firsthand witnessed that abuse and that, you know, like, work your ass off but in a bad way energy. I feel like you can work your ass off in a good way. I feel like me and my friends work our asses off in good ways, but I also feel like that you can work my bed behind me is a mess. Please do not make a comment about that if you're watching on YouTube. But, you know, my friends and I, like, we work our asses off in a way that is beneficial to us, but we're also adults, okay? We're also adults, and we can, like, handle ourselves, and we know how our bodies react and don't react and operate. You know, we know all that stuff. However, when it's children especially, the, like, work your ass off mentality, you know, I had that as a kid, but I think it's just innately who I am. But, like, this isn't just work your ass off. This is, like, pushing beyond your limits. It is a form of abuse. And, you know, Jojo was a firsthand witness to that. She saw, especially Jojo. I mean, there's that really famous scene where Abby asks all the other girls to, like, read what they don't like about Jojo, like, to her face. Huh? So, you know, Jojo knows that, and she's lived that experience, that abuse and the overworking and the, like, verbal hate and, like, the knowing that everyone around you doesn't like you, and knowing that the parents, the adults in control around you don't like you. Like, knowing that is, yeah, knowing that, and then knowing that she's felt that, and then seeing her go on to do the same things is a really saddening thing, especially as a fellow dance teacher. You know, there was the Dance Moms reunion recently, and, you know, Jojo was saying all this shit about how, you know, the girls that didn't come back aren't grateful for what the show gave them and all this stuff. And, like, how out of touch is that statement? Like, oh my God. Like, a lot of these girls viewed what happened to them as trauma, as traumatic, as abuse. And it was, in a way. And maybe Jojo has been able to heal and look past that. Maybe she just sees it differently. Her body, you know, internalized and processed it differently, whatever. But to say that, you're asking your friends to return to the space that caused them the most hurt, that probably took them years to get over. I mean, for sure, like, and mine wasn't even filmed for national television, and it took me years to get over. And I think that was just really an out-of-touch statement. And it kind of forces me to think that if she didn't view it as trauma, if she didn't view it as abuse, even though that is textbook what it is, it makes sense to me why she has proceeded to take those tactics and put them onto her own girl group. You know, you have the yelling insults, you have the production company that'll stir up drama, you have there's a quote in the Rolling Stone article somewhere where someone close to the show said that production would make the comment, "It's a good day if you can make a child cry," which is like so crazy. You know, but it's I think it's all about the viewing, because obviously with that comment at the reunion, it's clear that she didn't view it as an abusive, traumatic situation, even though that is what it is. And it just saddens me to see her take those tactics and use them on other children. And I think in her mind, she's like, this is what got me to stardom, and that's what these kids want. So, like, this is the way to do it. But who's gonna tell her that that's not the way to do it? And listen, I get it. It's a business. And shitty reality TV drives sales, it drives market. Like, I get it. And I don't know if it's been played up for the camera, but like what this little girl is saying, I mean, she's 16 now. I think she was like 12 at the time. But what this girl is saying, and all these things, and like all these reports that have come out, like it just makes me so sad, because she had a really good opportunity going with this girl group to show that you can reach that level of stardom. You can become successful in the arts, and you don't have to do all the things that have hurt each other. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to fit a mold. You don't have to fit the mold of the people that hurt you because that's all you know. You don't have to do what everyone has told you. You don't have to repeat what everyone has done to you because that's what happened to you and now you're where you want to be. You know what I mean? And, I think she had a really big opportunity to kind of be different and to be kind and polite and change up. And I don't know, it's really sad to watch from the outside as a fellow dance teacher. Which brings me to, like, another point of this episode. What brings me to this point of the episode is, as dance teachers, or as blossoming dance teachers, as aspiring dance teachers, studio owners, whatever, we need to understand and walk into the classroom as healed individuals, whatever healed means for you at the moment. Whatever healed looks like, feels like, tastes like, smells like, whatever, walk into a classroom of students as healed as you can be. You know, I think that if I went right into teaching, like, let's say I didn't get out of that, you know, toxic studio situation until I was 18, and I started teaching my very first semester at college. Like, that's a fact, I did. I think if I walked into teaching fresh out of that situation, it would have been a nightmare. I would have been doing exactly what I grew up despising and being scared of, and, you know, being tasteless and rude, and I would have been carrying on that abuse. And I think because I left when I did, I left at 12, 13, you know, I've had so much time removed. That's 5 years, you know, since I got to college. You know, I've been sad about it. I've been angry about it. I've missed it. It's a whole thing. It's a whole healing journey. But I think that major distance between it allowed me to step into the studio and be like, okay, you know, I'm not going to do all the things that caused me harm to these kids. I know that there is a better way. I have seen a better way in action, and I'm going to continue that better way, and I'm going to make sure that these students know not to take any other type of treatment from anybody else. And that was really important to me, and I think that Jojo, Siwa, and I are the same age. We're both 20 years old, and as a 20-year-old, I mean, you left Dance Moms in, let's find out when you left Dance Moms. When did Jojo leave Dance Moms? She left Dance Moms at the end of season 6, which was, when was Dance Moms season 6 airing? Began airing on January 5th, ended on November 22nd. So let's say that she left. I mean, they had to have edited it. You know, they had to have edited it, you know, but she left in, what year was that? I was, like, not paying attention when I read it, but I didn't. So she left in 2016. So in 2016, we were, like, 12, 13 years old. And, you know, she left at, like, 12, 13 years old, and, you know, that's bad. 7 years since that situation, and you're now in a place of teaching, and I don't know if Jojo Siwa is in a phase of denial. I know that that's something I went through, that I was like, oh, it wasn't that bad, I'm being dramatic, but it's like, no, babe, it was. I don't know if Jojo Siwa is just in this, like, prolonged phase of denial. I don't know if there's people around her telling her that she shouldn't feel bad about it. Like, I don't know, but that 7-year gap, she was able to be distanced from it. She was able to see, like, oh, I'm being really hurt by this, and, you know, I was really hurt by this, and I feel like there has to be some outside influence that is preventing her from perceiving it as harmful, as that hurt that, like, also millions of people witnessed alongside her. Like, millions of people tuned in every week to watch these kids get hurt, which, like, also I can't stomach, but also maybe it's because, like, that was me. I don't know. But she had this really long period of, like, being away from it, and I really thought that this was going to be, like, a happy story, a turnaround, like, you know, she learned from her past, she learned from what hurt her, but unfortunately, this is a situation where the abused has become the abuser, and I just want to go out on record and just ask my fellow dance teachers, my aspiring dance teachers, if you have come from a dance background, an acting an art, if you are becoming an arts anything teacher, and you have come from a toxic art background, please, 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 give yourself time to heal, time to process before you step into a classroom on your own merit. I didn't even really realize that what was happening to me, what did happen to me, was wrong, was harmful, was abusive, until I got out of it for a while. And then I slowly started to put together that, like, oh, that was super not cool that all this happened. And you're not going to walk out of it knowing that you were abused. And maybe you will. Maybe you'll have that kind of keen sense. But, I mean, I was 12, 13. I think I had the feeling for it, but I don't think that I had the wording for it, I think. So just give yourself some time and some space to process and heal, and take class from other people and learn and see what other teaching methods are out there, and just ensure that the future of dance or acting or theater or art, whatever art you're teaching, just ensure that it is in safe hands with you. You know, I always tell people when they ask me about teaching, like, I never want to be the reason that those kids are sitting in a therapist office. I never want to be the name that comes out of their mouth. And as narcissistic as that sounds, as whatever, it's so important to me that I protect the students that I teach. Am I going to teach kids forever? No. But while I have them, while they're, you know, close to my heart, I don't want that kid 5 years down the line to be sitting in a psychiatrist's office and being like, I had this dance teacher named Taylor, and she was a fucking bitch, and she said all this shit to me, and, like, it really hurt me, and it's like, that was an abusive coach. That was an abusive teacher. Like, that is not a reality I subscribe to living in at all, and I make it such a clear point that I am building, even if it's just for a couple years, I am building the next generation of dance students. I am paving a way for my dance students that are then going to teach. Like, kids lead with example. Everyone leads with example, but kids lead by example. And if my teens see me very politely, and I'll get an edge to me every now and again, but I'm never hurling insults at these kids. I'm not throwing stuff. All these things that happen to me. And, these kids see me leading calmly and politely, and maybe it's nothing they've ever experienced before. Hopefully it's all they've experienced, but then if they want to go and teach, they have that example rather than the example of hurt that someone like me, or dare I compare myself to Jojo Siwa has really felt. And it's just unfortunate because I feel like this could have been a really big cathartic healing time for her, and it unfortunately turned into perpetuating the cycle of abuse in the dance world, specifically the competition dance and like child entertainment world. And like, I mean, Quiet on Set just came out about the abuse that happened within child entertainment in Nickelodeon, and it's such a prevalent thing. And to see a survivor of it perpetuate the cycle and potentially not even know that she's doing it. However, I do think that she's 20 years old, you know what I mean? She has to know. She has to know that she's doing it. She has to know. And it just breaks my heart because she really, it could have ended with her, and it didn't. And to see that continue in the industry, I just hope that when those kids grow up, if they choose to stay in the industry, that they choose to lead with a healthy, healed heart, mind, soul, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and that's kind of what I want to say leading into Jojo Siwa's Rebrand. And what can I say? Everything, like, original that I had to say about the Jojo Siwa situation just happened. I wanted to compare it to, when you should go into teach and all these things. However, she's also doing this, like, rebrand thing. She's doing this, like, bad girl era, like, Taylor Swift reputation. Not even, oh my god, that's way too high of praise. But, she's doing this, like, bad girl era type thing. And I think the biggest thing about it is, the biggest thing that has struck me about it is the timing. A lot of people have said this, and I'm not afraid to second it because I agree. I think that so the Rolling Stone article came out in February, and she released stuff for her rebrand at the end of March. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was sort of like a cover-up. A lot of people online have been saying, like, she's trying to cover up these allegations. She's trying to, do all these things. And it's just really, it just really upsets me because it's like, if you are being that calculated and that manipulative, you obviously had to have known that what you were doing from the beginning was wrong and abusive and mean and gonna get people upset. And something else I really want to talk about with the rebrand, besides the, like, weird Kiss inspiration, like, Gene Simmons about to sue her ass, but, not actually, but I kind of think you should, just for, like, the lulz of it. I don't think Gene Simmons is Gene Simmons still alive? Hold on, let me actually, let me see if, I'm not a big Kiss fan, I'm sorry. He is still alive, he's 74 years old. Gene Simmons defends Jojo Siwa. Gene Simmons defends Jojo Siwa's Kiss-like look at 2024 iHeartRadio Music Awards. She looks cool. He's quoted as saying, "Jojo is cool. Anyone who doesn't get it is just jealous, period." Damn, okay. Okay, well, I was gonna say you should sue her ass. Never be ordinary, always be extraordinary. Jojo is extraordinary and she looks cool. Of course she looks like me, but that's another story. That's funny. Okay, I think Gene Simmons has a bit of a funny bone on him. I think he has some humor in it. I think he might not know. He is 74. I don't think he might not know all the situation. But, okay, that's funny. I think it's funny that he defends her. But, like, there was a moment where I was like, Gene Simmons about to sue her ass. Like, she looks like Gene Simmons in Kiss. That's so funny that he was like, she's cool, let it go. That's really funny. Okay, shout out Gene Simmons for working your way into this podcast. What else I wanted to talk about was with this song, I don't even know where I was going before that. Oh, yeah, the song Karma. So, Jojo Siwa wrote this song called Karma, and admittedly, I haven't even heard the whole thing. I've just heard, like, what's been, like, swirling around on TikTok, which makes me a bad podcast host. I probably should have listened to the whole thing. But I also can't play you the whole thing because then my podcast will get copyright stricken, and I don't really need that right now. But, like, you've probably heard it. If you haven't, just go on Jojo Siwa's TikTok. It's literally all she's been posting about. Guys, we think that she stole the song. Now, this is a bit of a nuanced situation. She never said that she wrote Karma. She never came out saying, I wrote Karma. This is my song. You know, this is the song that I wrote, Karma. However, she's been saying stuff that it was influenced by her exes, that it's her song, Karma. Like, this is my new song, Karma. You know, it's about my exes, all this stuff. And, you know, really strongly talking and alluding in the way that she did write this song. However, there is some speculation that Jojo Siwa just bought the song from someone else. So Britt Smith, is a music artist, and 2012, released what we now know as Jojo Siwa's Karma. There was also a moment in 2012 when Miley Cyrus was going to record it, and now it is Jojo Siwa's. So, Jojo herself has confirmed that the song was never another pop star's, as Karma is the brainchild of the producing team, Rock Mafia, who created hits for Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, and Demi Lovato. Jojo Siwa said, this is from TMZ, which is not a reliable source, but the source that I'm going to choose. I'm just here to tell you. Jojo defended, I didn't steal anything, there's no such thing as stealing, I don't know who Britt Smith is. However, if you listen to this song, like, there's demo versions of it that are, like, time-stamped in as, like, the 2010s, and it's like, you had, like, you know when musicians, like, go to court, because they're like, this person stole my melody, and it's like, dude, what? This is, like, lyric for lyric, bar for bar, to, quote Jarvis Johnson, like, bar for bar, the same fucking song. And my issue with it remains that she's like, I don't know who Britt Smith is. Well, someone on your team, like, it's the same song. And I just have a really hard time believing that she didn't just buy the rights to it. Like, she said that the song was a brainchild of Rock Mafia, the producing team. And, like, who's to say? That doesn't tell us that she wrote it, though. Rock Mafia probably produced it for Britt Smith if they also produced work for Miley Cyrus. And there was a moment where Britt Smith's Karma was going to be sung by Miley Cyrus. You know, like, in this situation, I think Britt Smith just was, like, a pop star, like a one-hit wonder that kind of died out, continued writing, nothing got really too big. She started selling her music. I think that Rock Mafia bought this song for Miley Cyrus, and then it was never latched, like, she never did it, and then Jojo was like, I want to do this adult rebrand, and then Rock Mafia, her music people, were like, okay, here's a song. Like, it frustrates me to no end, because you are an artist, Jojo. Jojo, you are an artist, and you know that you and your legal team would be up someone's ass if they tried to, like, use your name or use your song or use your likeness without your permission, or even just, like, insinuating that it was theirs. Like, even if they bought it, you know, if they weren't giving writing credit or anything. Like, let's say that Jojo Siwa wrote a song and then I bought it to sing. I wouldn't ever, but what if I did? You know, I can put this, you know, I bought the rights to it, I bought the creative licensing to it, I can put it out under my name and under my face, I can have a cute little album cover on Apple Music, but when you scroll to the bottom of Apple Music, it would say, written by Jojo Siwa, or whoever wrote the song. Like, the fact that she's not even, like, giving writing credits to Brit, when, like, we have these, like, time-stamped in, like, irrefutable, is that a word? Is irrefutable a word? Irrefutable? It is, okay. Irrefutable, like, timestamps that this song came out, or was written, produced for the very first time in the 2010s. You know, and it's no coincidence that when Miley Cyrus was gonna sing it and didn't, it's her producing team that is also producing Karma for You, and, like, it just stresses me out. Not even stresses me out, it just upsets me because, like, Jojo, you're an artist too, and like I said, you and your legal team would be up someone's ass if they try to take your work, even if they bought your work. Even if they bought, like, if someone else bought a Jojo Siwa song, and if I bought a Jojo Siwa song, and at the bottom of Apple Music, it said written by Taylor Hartman, her legal team would be up my ass, because I know for damn well that contract said that I would have to credit the original writers, because that's how art works, dude. Like, you're stealing art from people, you can try to deny it, but it's like, you're an artist as well. You should maybe not know, but at least be able to, like, empathize with how it would feel to have, like, a huge star steal your work. And that's something about the situation that I'm also, like, really upset about. Like, beyond being a dance teacher, which, like, that's really the meat and potatoes of this episode, is like, hey, dance teachers, please lead with love and compassion because you're raising the next generation of dance. However, the fact that she's, like, also stealing music is, like, just icing on the cake of, like, just bad shit that's happening. And I'm like, oh my god, okay then. And, like, what on earth? Yeah, but and she's also doing this rebrand, which, like, is really honestly, and a lot of people have said this, and I honestly agree, like, it's just the Jojo Siwa aesthetic in black and white. Which, like, is fine, and it's cool, and she's worn some cool stuff, but I feel like if this was the Jojo Siwa Extreme all the way to the left, her rebrand is the Jojo Siwa Extreme all the way to the right. She just turned the saturation down. Like, genuinely, she just turned the saturation down. Which is fine, and if that's how she wants to flesh it out, if that's how she wants to interpret rebrand, if that's how she wants to see herself, go off. Like, wherever you want, do what you want. Just don't steal art and don't abuse children. Don't abuse art and don't abuse art. Don't abuse art either, but don't abuse children and don't steal art, especially when you're Jojo fucking Siwa and you have this huge public platform. Like, people look up to you. You know what I mean? And, like, God, it just, I want this to be a learning lesson for all of the dance teachers, future educators. I hope that this is a cautionary tale. I hope that 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, she apologizes. I don't know if she will. I hope that it improves, and I genuinely don't know if it will. And I just wanted to say that this is a really important thing. It's just a really important thing for the future of dance education specifically. This is a turning point. This is a turning point to really check yourself before you enter a classroom as an adult in charge. Check yourself, check your past, check your healing. How are you? Because the minute that you start teaching in the way that you were raised, if that is a bad, toxic way, you are perpetuating the cycle of abuse. You have become the next abuser, whether you want to hear it or not. And people have different opinions on it, and that's their own opinion, but this is kind of my outlook on it and what I've had to fight through to get to where I am today. I don't want to flesh that on to other kids, and I think I want to end this segment by talking about a few dance teacher things that I do that I think everyone should incorporate as, like, a Gen Z dance teacher. It's disgusting. I really hate that I just said that. But as a Gen Z dance teacher, here are some things that I think we should incorporate. I made a TikTok about this, like, ages ago, but here's some things I think we should incorporate. Very firstly, I do attendance and exit questions. I do these a lot more with my children, like my little babies, but I think you can make it work for all ages. So my attendance questions are, it's just like one question that the whole class answers when their name is called for attendance. Like, for my little babies, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? For my slightly older kids, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? What did you do at school today? Something to kind of get them talking. I find, especially if they're talking to me right at the beginning of class, they kind of get that talkative energy out of their system, and they're a little more likely to kind of dial in and focus for class. So attendance questions, also kind of fun to get to know your kids. And exit questions are a similar thing. Before they get their sticker or whatever, I ask them a question about class. And this goes all the way up to my older kids, even like when we're not doing stickers or whatever. But for my little kids, I'll ask them, you know, if we worked on a step like all class, you know, like, you know, I remember like with my babies, we just did cramp rolls, and I was like, can you show me a cramp roll to get your sticker? And, you know, and we'll do it together if they need help or, you know, whatever. Just kind of reiterate what we learned in class and that memory. Slightly older, I'll do like an 8 count of their dance, but I'll leave like a step or 2 out, and I'll be like, fill in the blank, what comes next? Again, that like dance memory. My oldest kids, again, like that like leaving a blank out of a larger portion. And it kind of just solidifies what we did in class today, leaves them with a sense of accomplishment. Love attendance and exit questions. Next, I call all parents grown-ups. Whether, not even parents, just the people that bring my kids to dance or come and watch my kids dance, they're grown-ups. Because you don't know if it's their mom or their dad or their grandma or grandpa or aunt or uncle or sister, or if they're, you know, whoever. In a way of just, you know, it makes sense in my heart to say grown-ups. You know, you could call it dramatic, you could call it whatever. It's not even like a political thing. Like, it feels right in my heart to say grown-ups, because you never know the situation that these kids are coming into dance with. So I always say, you know, when you're at recital and your grown-ups are watching you dance, you want to have a big smile, or like, here's an information packet about our performance or competition, give it to your grown-ups when you get home. Or, you know, like when they're walking to their cars, do you see your grown-up's car outside? You know, if not, wait inside and I'll wait with you. Also, not really what I was going to bring up in this portion, but sidebar, always wait with your students. This is kind of just a personal rule, but something I also stand with. If you are like a teacher, and if like your class is the last class of the night, be the last person to leave the studio. Make sure every single one of those kids gets into the car with their parents. Make sure they see that it is their parents. Don't let those kids wander that parking lot. That is something that we really stood by at the ballet studio I graduated from. Also, like, your older teens. If your older teens are getting out at night, encourage your older teens, even if they're driving themselves, to walk each other to their cars. Just encourage parking lot safety with students of all ages. Be the last one to leave the studio. Make sure every single one of those children gets in the correct car with the correct grown-up that you typically see them with. Yeah. And then I also wanted to talk about, like, I encourage learning which sounds like, no shit, you encourage learning in a classroom? That's crazy. But no, I never want my kids in my classroom at any age to be afraid to ask questions, to make mistakes. That was like a really, like, quote unquote fuck up a dance. Like, that was a big thing that I really felt, and I don't want that for my students. Therefore, I really, really, really ensure that they don't feel that way. You know, and I always reiterate, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. You know, I bet a friend of yours has the same question. Or if they make a mistake, like, okay, let's talk through it. Let's figure out what happened. Let's fix it. And just leading with a positive, open environment so that that perpetuated cycle of abuse in the dance world doesn't continue. And with that, I want to leave you with a recommendation. This is something that Rhett and Link do on their podcast, Ear Biscuits, and I think it's really cute. I want to leave you with a recommendation of Baby Reindeer on Netflix. Baby Reindeer is it is a bit of a, dare I call it, a psychological thriller. I mean, not even dare, it is a psychological thriller. Oh my god. It is a psychological thriller. Directed by, let me get his name right. We read his play in class, and I could, like, never get it right. It's on Netflix. It's the 6th most searched movie and show. Yeah, dealing with a female stalker, a man is forced to face a dark, buried trauma. Yeah, okay, let me get the guy. Okay. Richard Gadd. Dude, I never got his name right, but Richard Gadd wrote Baby Reindeer as a play, and we read it in one of our classes. And it was so good. And he also plays the main character in the show. And it's a true story about how he was in, I believe they're in, they're not, no, they're in London. They're in London. He's in London, he's trying to make this comedy thing happen, and this woman starts stalking him, and no one takes him seriously, because why would a woman stalk a man, and he doesn't enjoy it, and I'm only a few episodes in, but 4 episodes in, I think it's a really interesting commentary on societal assumptions and pressures of relationships. Episode 4 is a very great cautionary tale about, again, like, abuse in the arts, like, using your status in a bad way. It's just a really great show. It's chilling. You gotta take some breaths while watching it. But if you kind of like that true crime energy, I don't love true crime, but I think because I read the play and I knew what I was getting into, I'm able to watch the show. Also, would recommend reading the play. The play was really good. I would recommend reading the play. Yeah, so read the play before you watch the show. It's what I did, and I'm enjoying the show a lot because it's kind of like a visualizer of the play. But yeah, Baby Reindeer is my recommendation for today's podcast. And with that, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in on Spotify, on YouTube, wherever. If you want to follow the journey, you can follow the podcast for updates and really anything at BFA Baby Podcast on Instagram. Or you can follow me at Tata's Ballet, periods between words, on Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know how you feel about the episode in the poll down below. And I'll see you on the next one. Married in a Kiss. Mwah.